this first project is called Angololo Water Resources Development Project. This is a project that is being sponsored by two countries. These are Kenya and Uganda. It's a shared water resource between the two countries, but is part of the Nile Basin, holistically. And then also being supported in principle by the program under the Nile Basin called NELSAP, the Nile Equatorial Lakes Subsidiary Action Program, who are based in Kigali in Rwanda. And I'm delighted that they are also connected to the meeting and will be able to provide further clarifications or responses to questions. So the presentation has the outline shown here. We'll share with you where the location is, the background and description of the project, the objectives and expected benefits, the scope of these studies that we're supporting and some of the key outputs, the financing arrangements for the preparation activities, implementation arrangements and timelines, just to give you a quick understanding of the whole project. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, this project is in the East Africa region, as shown on the map on your left-hand side of the screen there. Particularly, it's a shared project between Kenya and Uganda. The map there also shows the potential area that would be flooded by the dam that is proposed to be built along this river. Next slide. So in terms of description, we provide a background. So this project was identified by the countries Kenya and Uganda in collaboration with NELSAP, it's part of a wider what they call Sio-Malaba Malakisi River Basin Management Project. And so this is one component under this broader program. So a pre-feasibility study was done on this project in 2010, which was supported by the government of Sweden and the government of Norway. And then the pre-feasibility study already showed the potential for this project. And now they approached the Nepad-IPPF in 2016, or rather 2018, to support the next step, which is a detailed feasibility study and environmental impact assessment, as well as design, which is really the scope of the current assistance that Nepad-IPPF is providing. Next slide. So more on the background, the attributes of the project. So the proposal is to build a dam on a river. Location is shown there. The catchment area that covers this development, the potential capacity of the reservoir will be 43 million cubic meters. The site has a potential for hydropower generation of 1.75 megawatts with a dam height of 30 meters. And then also the main element also is the irrigation potential, because these are fertile lands on both sides, the Kenyan side and the Ugandan side. 3,300 hectares of irrigation are foreseen, and also water supply to about local communities, about 20,000 people. So that's really the in terms of attributes of the project that are expected to be delivered. Next slide. So the overarching goal is to improve socioeconomic development in the two countries through the development of water resources, irrigation, electricity, fisheries, and basically livelihood of the people in the vicinity. The main objective is really to reduce, alleviate poverty in the area by transforming the subsistence farming that they're currently undertaking into more large-scale commercial farming opportunity as a result of the water resource that will be captured in this reservoir for irrigation purposes. Next slide. Expected benefits, immediately the 20,000 people that are immediately in this area and will be direct beneficiaries. Irrigation of 3,300 hectares, 1,100 in Kenya on the Kenyan side of the border and 2,000 in the Ugandan side. Expectation of generation of hydropower, just under 2 megawatts. And directly, the project benefits 127,000 people directly, and also will help to create employment, provide clean water and electricity. So it's really more to improve the livelihoods of the people in the immediate vicinity and surrounding areas, but broadly also, enhance the reduction of poverty in these two countries, especially the communities directly benefiting from this development. Next slide. In terms of scope, what are we supporting? So we're supporting a full feasibility study for the dam and the associated infrastructure. So all the technical, economic, and financial analysis for the project. We're also supporting the implementation or undertaking of an environmental and social impact assessment, and also to prepare a resettlement action plan for the communities that will have to be resettled to accommodate this infrastructure. The support will also include undertaking a detailed engineering design of the dam and the associated infrastructure. So here the hydropower and the irrigation infrastructure and the water supply infrastructure, but also the project will assess financing options, including the possibility of structuring any of those components as a PPP. Next slide. In terms of financing, so the total study cost is $1.8 million, and the Nepad-IPPF has provided a grant of $1.5 million. The balance of that has been contributed by the two countries, 150,000 as cash contributions from the two governments or counterpart contribution. And then NELSAP themselves, who are the executing agencies and coordinating between the two countries, are also providing an in-kind contribution of about 180,000 towards the project. So Nepad-IPPF is supporting the components that are shown on the right-hand side of the screen. So the stakeholder engagement, and there's some slides showing some of the engagement that's already taken place, and also the ESIA and studies. Next slide. For example, this particular slide shows the actual stakeholder engagements that have been undertaken as part of the first phase of the project, both on the Kenyan side here, some of the meetings with the local communities to discuss the project implementation arrangements and cooperation. And then also on the Uganda side will be shown subsequently. So this slide shows, in a way, the implementation structure of the project. So we have the two governments, Kenya and Uganda, as the principal, countries behind the project. They have set up a governance structure under the Nile Equatorial Lakes Subsidiary Action Program, which has membership from the two countries, the committees that are called NELCOM and NELTAC, who have the responsibility for approving the budget and all the work plans. So basically, it's the highest level kind of structure to oversee the project. And it comprises principal and permanent secretaries responsible for water, irrigation, and agriculture in the two countries. Below that, they have regional technical peer reviewers. These are experts in these respective sectors who will be reviewing the outputs, the reports and recommendations out of the project. And then the Nile Basin, the NELSAP coordination unit itself is the implementing entity or executing agency, and their role is to undertake the management of the study entirely, coordinate procurement. They're the recipient of the Nepad-IPPF grant, so basically their responsibility is also to engage with the Nepad-IPPF, provide us with progress reports, and also be responsible for financial management of the grant and coordination of the audit that will be done at the end of the study. Next slide. So in terms of the implementation, procurement of the consultants was completed last year. with a contract signed in March 2020. The value of the main contract is $795,000, which is well within the budget that was estimated. The procurement was done, of course, competitively, following the bank's procurement guidelines and requirements. And the successful firm is a joint venture between Beta Studio, an Italian firm, in a joint venture with Z&A Consulting Engineers, which is a firm from Cyprus. And they were awarded the contract, which was signed in March 2020. And the studies are underway. Next slide. The charts here try to demonstrate the progress. Not very clear, I'm aware, but just to show that the inception phase was started around about September 2020. So this slide shows the work that will be done between now and the end. As you will see there, the timeline is to complete the studies by the beginning of next year, 2022, in January, for the final report. In the next few months and weeks and months, they'll be undertaking the detailed design studies and engaging with stakeholders for validation and approval of the same. Next slide. So these are just some pictures of the stakeholder consultations. On the left side, this was early before the studies commenced in 2019, where they had stakeholders from Kenya and Uganda. And then the next picture on your right, these consultations took place last year in October, where they were reviewing the inception report to validate the output. These are stakeholders from both countries. Next slide. Again, more pictures demonstrating the consultations. The one on the left, this was the Kenyan side called Busia County. I'd shown that earlier. The one on the right is a similar consultation that was undertaken as part of component one of the studies on the Uganda side. To ensure that there is full ownership from the local communities involved, but also a full understanding of the process to develop the project. Next slide. More consultation engagements that have been undertaken, just to give you a picture of that. And next slide. So basically, this is the end of this presentation.